All right,
right
they
at the end. They tricked you. They
tricked me.
I think you looked away seeing the nom and then they flipped it.
I got 2 lost in conversation.
You're rattled. Come on.
Totally different story here.
Breaths. We got this.
And think about what we just saw from Fake and his Arhi. And if, despite struggling in a lane matchup, and I think Bjergsen also struggled versus Syndra, even though it is a very skillful matchup, the amount of things Bjergsen can do, the amount of plays he can make is incredible. That's, I think, why Arhi's a strong mid laner. But that's a lot of pressure on Bjergsen, who's been having kind of an underwhelming tournament for an otherwise international superstar.
I mean, the theory of the Arhi is to, again, in a skill matchup, get ahead, and then is a stronger 1-3-1 champion than the Syndra, trying to rotate around the Syndra, inability to hit a side wave as safely as an Arhi. But the theory is there, putting it into practice, and again, a lot of the late game team fight damage needing to come out of Wild Turtle. It's still harkening back to that strategy the TSM struggled with.
Yeah, exactly, but the big difference is that Arhi still has side lane presence and can be the second threat, which buys time and doesn't put everything in the Wild Turtle basket. That requires Bjergsen to actually go in and be aggressive and be a distraction, something that I feel like Bjergsen hasn't really done a lot of this tournament. He's done a lot of not being the one to be blamed. He'll sit back in a lot of team fights around full health and not maximize his damage. Oftentimes that's because of the chaos of the game and people being picked off, but he has to do better for them to make it out of group stage.
I mean, the person who I think's really put their body on the line is Svenskeren. If he gets that brush, will certainly be putting his body on line.
This is incredibly dicey. They're hoping to do some type of cheeky steal, and Haunter would have been spotted right there, and they can probably run him down. He's got to be so careful, and he's going back.
This is the bad time now, but MMD sees 2 more now, he has to book it. We'll see if he lets something. Does get taunted over. Galio exhausted. There's a Haunter still trying to run away. The rest of the team's coming there, but Mabel, Flair Q casting it, and that first blood leads in.
Letting the late sin get the first blood means that jungle item will come early, and the pain can certainly be felt in other lanes. TSM do use this time, the inevitability of Haunter going down to get some advanced vision. Seem to be making a play on their own, which may go unscouted by Flash Wolves.
Yeah, you have to criticize TSM for their early game, though. This is the second game where they suffered a death before minions have spawned. They were trying to make a very aggressive move into that jungle, but you can do that with 5 people, get a ward down, still have time to make it down the bottom side, and that would leave them open for wards on the other side, just getting too greedy with their level 1 strats and again getting punished.
Well, see a bit on there, at least on the Shred buff, so TSM of info, but I saw a pretty quick ping for flashes onto that blue, so I believe they have at least a good idea of what's happening, but Sven for now is going to steal away that blue headshot there onto Betty. Good poke by Biofrost, keeps coming in onto the Ash. And when we talk about shifts of power here, TSM, this is a game where Haunter sacrificed a lot in this draft to get them to this point, and that means Bjergsen and Turtle have more power, which has not been how they've won this tournament.
Yeah, and also sort of exhausted Haunter for some fairly unknown reason, because maybe they were thinking they was going to be able to get away after he already skilled Q. That really hurts their laning game. It hurt their ability to all in and only increases the chance that TSM pushes them in early.
So, being level 2 in the first trade, a little point. You know, we're talking about mid laners who will put their line up, who will be aggressive. It feels Perks has been one of the few this tournament to really try to take over a game from the mid lane position. You remember his Fizz game early in the tournament where he really whopped a drop and allowed G2 to get to late game, allowed Sven to get to late game. I think Perks deserves a lot of compliments in that regard, because especially Maple and Bjergsen, 2 players we know can do that on the international stage, have largely been pretty conservative so far this tournament.
You can see Castle looking for an invade, but he's not going to get this red. Sven able to take it down. Castle losing the double off means that he kind of might be a bit lost.
No,
looking for a bot lane gank potentially.
That's what I thought he was doing. I was hoping to go in the bottom side, but then Wild Turtle and Biofrost immediately fell back. So even though they didn't have a ward, when that type of action happens in the bottom lane, Flash was only assume that there was ward somewhere on Karsa. So I'm almost certain Karsa thinks he was spotted in the ward there.
Pinged out also we saw on the mini-map, so the 3 buff will come out, everything being equal. So Castle will have gold, but not necessarily the experience lead, given that Svenskeren was able to get the 3 buff.
Haunter unfortunately was again the sacrifice. First blood over the Flash Wolves, but Svenskeren feeling good. Level 4 right now, farming pretty efficiently through the jungle, and nice to see some safe play there from the TSM duel, and they play quite aggressive in a lot of their matchups. This one no exception, but kind of knowing they have to play back a bit more respect Castle, and I believe taking out the blast cone as well with some pretty good vision, so totally going to clear this. Things can proceed as normal.
I mean, Haunter will not have priority in top. We know on standard lanes, we've said it all year, how big pushing lanes are in this meta, to me, it really needs to be Bjergsen actually getting kill pressure onto the Syndra. Because if Syndra is able to have kill pressure and push in and potentially take down the Arhi, plus Shen is being pushed in, that's when there's a cavalcade of pressure over to the Flash Wars really heaping onto TSM. So I think a lot of pressure is on Bjergsen. Could have gone for the Karma mid lane, actually going for the Arhi. He needs to make it work.
Ow. Definitely ow, and the timing of the stun as well means Bjergsen misses out on the cannon. I would definitely not say Arhi is a counter pick to Syndra whatsoever, but it is something that can be played into the Syndra, so you're willing to do. Still going to be a difficult game here, Bjergsen.
Expecting into some early losses, I think. We'll see if Sven can help out. Ari's got incredible gank assist, and Sven should have damage to back it up. But right now, Maple pushing the lane in. Does have a good CS lead, but Sven continuing to counter jungle. His bottom lane is pushing up. A little dangerous with Maple fading toward the right-hand side, but Sven actually looking pretty good on a lot of these early counter jungle attempts.
Yeah, he had pretty good counter jungle timing against SKT, even though got obliterated later in that game. So for all the times that Sven gets caught out in the jungle for what seems like a really bad invade, he does have good ones, and he's clearly not dissuaded continuing to go for them.
I think his level of play has actually increased as the tournament has gone on. As his first 2 days, certainly a lot of scrutiny. People were making all sorts of memes and innuendos about Sven being replaced. But I think the last 2 days have been solid. At worst, you know, honestly, he's had some good games himself where people like Trick, for example, have been struggling as Bjergsen.
All gets cancelled.
That's really tough because Maple is looking to hit level 6. It's going to potentially have the cannon minion wave missed out for Bjergsen, so should have been a little bit farther back before that recall.
Roam down as well, because again we expect Gallia to be pushing in that lane pretty much 24/7. Bjergsen playing it safe, double door, and now a Negatron cloak, so respecting the threat of Maple and MMD or Caster coming in, and now Sven snuck down to the bottom lane, but a nice ward from Flash Wolves to spot him.
No percentage gank as well, given that there is no real assist barring a W from Bifrost on that Karma. Back to Korean. Caster uses the time to clear away Raptors as well and try to catch up on some of that experience that was lost on the 3-buff.
Yeah, Maple definitely asserting his will in that mid lane as the Syndra, getting that extra wave with the recall interrupt, helping his case there. He should have a more favorable back as well because that gold able to complete his lost chapter and then get the Negatron, much better than just an extra board.
At least Bjergsen should feel a lot safer now, still has sums up, and now his ultimate, so any all-in likely going to be avoided if Maple and Caster go for it.
Yeah, and aside from just the items that give stats, Maple's got 2 control wards. He can control one side of the map and then stay in lane, wait for it to get cleared off, and just replace that. So the river control that Maple is actually going to provide for his team with those 2 wards is very high.
If they can get the double control ward down, then the Ari's win condition, which is getting, like you said earlier, Baby Time, hitting the charm to gank assist is strong because Syndra will often be clearing, harassing under turret. Double control ward is down, the kill pressure goes away, and it's basically one-way traffic for the Syndra.
Here's that dangerous invade coming in.
This could be a bit mistimed here for the Vent. Does have Smite, but Caster does not. I look to take it down quickly. Bjergsen did pretty quick push the lane in to make sure this happens. Sven, they're going to get caught. Does get the Smite down by Caster. Oh, nice ulti from Sven, actually. Caster did not have kick there.
He was not level 6 because Sven has been stealing away that side of the jungle. That's risky right there. Burns his ultimate, saves his flash, but does deny Maple the blue buff.
It is remnants of the early game, though, and that's the thing you can say there is, okay, there's definitely been times in the regular season when Sven doesn't have priority, mid lane recalls, he steals Raptors and dies, but at least there's an element of this reward there being evaluated by Sven. And he comes away with the buff, and he's trying to just provide some sort of early game pressure, given that top lane, you see it on the minimap, it's going as expected.
Yeah, and I will say that with Sword Art moving over to the blue buff, that gave TSM a window to harass Betty even further, so probably not worth the risk, but Sven did accomplish something with that invade, and TSM get a minor benefit. Flash was still in a lot of control though after that was played.
Indeed. Shoving in top side as Caster invades onto this side of the jungle. Maple is running up as well, so Ponsa snitched out that he's getting dived. This should be an early turret for TSM. Graves doing this means he should get turret first. Good arrow though to Sven. Shield from Bifrost, and that turret dead. Sven, quick draw forward, and there's first turret goal to TSM.
And if it was a multi-step plan, as you outlined, Jack, actually big up to TSM. Remember, they also had Stand United. So that's the reason Flash couldn't really walk up to contest the last few hits onto the turrets. They do give up first turret blood. As you can see clearly on screen, it'll be answered, but it's TSM on the front foot, which, given that level 1 was an abomination, is still heartening to see.
Absolutely. Now the question for Flash Wolves is going to be, can they do anything with this top lane priority they have acquired? MMD has had the shove on Hanser for most of the early game, hasn't made successful home plays, and now the map is open for him. He can lead for much longer after shoving in the wave because it takes much longer for the mini waves to crash into the second turret.
And it does feel like Flash Wolves can kind of echo how SKT played the first match of this tournament with the Galio draft, because they do have 3 ranged auto attackers to play one side of the map and Galio to wave clear on the other side. So they can force any of these mismatches on side waves trading turrets. They should very clearly trade up, and all TSM can hope for is turret dives will stand united, because obviously the wave clear mismatch between Shen and Galio, we talked about so much already today, is carrot.
Well, great little blue steal there by Flash regardless. Ben tried to snipe it with his ultimate, but didn't quite get it, and you can see just how much pressure MMD is putting up on top, but good vision from Flash Wolves as well. There's a control wall just to the left of mid turret that's been there for a long time. No one has passed through yet. That's the ward right there. I mean, it's just one of those spots that you really ever check as a jungler.
Yeah, that and the ward right behind the red buff are some of the best spots. TSM though turning for Drake on top of the ward, but Flash Wolves is all in recall patterns, so it should be going over the
Again, smartly playing that here for TSM, kind of using their strength where they find it. Also, keeping pretty even in CS as well, so that's gone well at least as far as the Shen goes. I mean, maybe didn't expect to win bottom lane this, but Turtle was up 20 CS at one point. It's kind of hit back down to 10 or 15, but Bjergsen playing safe when he needs to. That was a Hextech and an extra Ruby Crystal. Looks like Proto next, and Turtle laying in the Betty Ace, and they're all going to chunk that health all the way down again.
The thing I take away from this tournament, specifically the last couple of days, that once again, just like last year's World, TSM are a very well-drilled team. It feels like they very often know what to do when they're in standard situations. When they're 5-6 kills down, sure, the cavalcade will come through. But when it comes to, okay, I see 2 people recalling, I know where there's pressure, I'm going to take a Drake. Those sort of plays from TSM, the 1, 2, 3 plays, have been very clean.
Yeah, and the struggle now for them is their lack of vision. Just ran through the river mostly blind. They're trying to get some vision down and get control wards out. And they're talking about what to do in this drill. They just win bottom lane with Caitlyn, kill the turret. You want to move that up towards the mid lane or the top lane and push. Struggle is Syndra and Galio have such amazing wave clear that it's very hard to transition up and actually get anything done.
And given that Galio has pushed in so far, you also have the heroic entrance kind of being the headache as well, because when you try to play the mid lane, it is actually a lane close to the Galio. It's very much in range of just a small roam. But they're going to pick up the Glint of the Void as well, and maybe it goes on to Lee Sin. I'm actually unsure who you give it to, just because Galio does so much of his work from range.
I think the general choice of Galio, because it's real tough. This guy's sticking his side lane, he can run away. Seen a lot of Galios pick this one up here. And it's funny to see how many Rift Heralds have been picked up here at MSI. But I mean, MD is already having a good time in this matchup. The CF being even is about all Haunter could have asked for.
Let's not forget, this tournament is kind of love letter to the current glimpse of the Void, because the big changes on the PD and live now on the patch means it's going to be different mechanics when it comes to next season. So enjoy it while it's here, folks. This is the last hurrah of the glimpse of the Void.
Enjoy the glimpse of the Void. Lasts for 20 minutes and has low impact for those 20 minutes, but it does have impact, unlike the very high moments of the current killer on the live servers. But for MMD, don't underestimate how much damage Galio does to turrets now, because that thing by level 18 stacks up to 270 extra damage on the first hit after it's checked up, and Galio also gets to use his passive on turrets. So MMD will actually be turret destroyer with a buff.
Throwing a nice spawn gauntlet, and we're chunking turrets, so that's something to look for.
Well, it's on fire right now, and kiss the push wasn't up there. Onto with his teammate and his Shen, so things are going to get tricky. TSM could attempt to steal the blue, but again, showing respect without vision there. Flash Wolves doing a good job defending it. Maple does get another one. So Bjergsen could struggling a bit in the lane, but again, he's also trying to keep their TS up, and maybe we can question some of these lane assignments here for TSM. But Total at least is guaranteeing that he gets some point. He went cold here, despite the lead he's got, and he has boots to and pickaxe. Like, this man is just trying to get to that late game.
Standard as standard can be. It feels like this current phase where TSM would love to creep to the mid lane, take that turret, but Karsh has been covering it. The control wards are down. It's very difficult for that next step, and something like a cult is a small victory while everything else is drawn out around the map.
I do have to say, if you're going to play pass for the first 15 minutes, Flash Wolves is the team to do it against. Flash Wolves of all teams have the fewest kills after 15 minutes of any team of the MSI group stage so far. So this is an example that both the teams have actually had fairly passive early games. Go with the call.
Oh, that was a sick combo. Bjergsen not going to get stuck combo. There's the ultimate out, and Casa collects the credit.
Game-breaking moment of the game, it feels like, is that 14 minutes. They use everything on Bjergsen. We'll see what that means for the mid laners. Also, Flash have this priority with the Gliss, the Void, and the Galio on the top lane as well.
Also not having fun time at all. I mean, just couldn't do Shen ultimate, even if he wanted to. MMD's got so much pressure. Flash was now actually looking for a dive here onto the low health corner, but all of a sudden they did alleviate mid lane pressure with Spence and now Turtle moving in. They're going to lose something here on top up. Blue buff once again over to Flash Wolves.
Yeah, 15 minutes up to Crest. That's the end of that passive early game for Flash Wolves. Do have to point out that Bjergsen has exhaust instead of cleanse. A lot of mid laners will take cleanse just against the Syndra, let alone the Ashe. So really getting punished right there as the fairly long-range Ashe does chain the stun onto Bjergsen and give him no way of escape.
The only way the exhaust makes sense if it's about playing through the mid lane, looking for those kills, and then rotating to the 1v1. But the cleanse also kind of does double duty, so you really start checking the checks and balances, and maybe cleanse just outright wins all things considered.
Yeah, the theory behind the exhaust is, Arhi, if you're ever trying to all a Syndra, you get to close range, you get the exhaust, make it so the Syndra can't ult back to turn the trade around, but a cleanse would be the more defensive option, and if Bjergsen is trying to be in an aggressive mindset, you can see the exhaust coming through, but punished for it right there.
Yeah, great little combo there for Flash Wolves. Picks themselves up a second kill here. It's a very macro and farm-oriented early game so far. TSM keeping the gold respectable, but Flash Wolves with that lead now. 1,000 gold up, turrets are even. First straight did go to TSM, the next one's an Ocean, so it's not really going to prompt too much action. The Flashes are a team that we know does power up from this point onwards. Starting to kind of hit some item breakpoints. Played there for Betty. Abyssal Scepter there for Mabel with the Lost Chapter, moving into what I assume is Morelli and Omicron. I mean, Total's really still fine for it. Looks like IE, but there's a lot of work for TSM to do. And Flash Rose could start turning up soon as good hands from Maple going to get him out from under the charm.
Charm hit, but instant cleanse means that nothing more will happen. TSM has kind of the advantageous lane assignments because they can send Turtle in the mid lane and the short lane, and potentially move Arhi to the bot lane, and Syndra obviously not as adept in a side lane, but for now, all kind of being negated, so ends up being standard as standard can be. Scouting report was these teams are very standard early to mid game, and even that Ashe kill onto Arhi didn't really reap any extra reward.
And also both kind of defaulted back to the tank in the top lane. MMD has had the push advantage this whole time, but hasn't really made any of the big role plays because teams haven't necessarily forced. They know that both Shen and Galio can lead to a lot of disruption in fights, and most of the teams are just kind of opted for farming or very slow step on the play.
The kick by for us back in, but United there. Great flash from Io out of the Ashe Arrow, and up and Scarin. Going to be see if that TB completes. Bjergsen looks for a pick. Does get sorted. No, needs a little bit more. Boost forward there. Now gets to kill Galio. Will be very late. Trying to get himself out. And MMD is going to be sick now. Turtle actually picking onto MMD, but he's kiting out of the Idol of Duran. TSM should get a kill back there.
Casa deep in enemy lines, but he'll back away. Really nice turnaround, and specifically sidestepping all the engagement. They could actually pick up the kill and get out. We saw kills traded both sides. Will TSM actually be able to get injected?
Yeah, every time I've talked about a passive game, they immediately spring to action. MMD goes again.
Turtle get a stun. Shouldn't have been standing at MMD. Still with the flash on him. Maple finishes it with style. Wants to try and clear this out. Flash is getting good priority, but that should mean the Drake is there. Sven was there, and Turtle just a little too far forward.
Still pretty short death timers here, but because the respawns have come through for the Flash Wolves, and because TSM expended so much on that initial kill, Odin Drake, after the long exchange, goes to Cycles, as you say.
On the upside, Jack, at least now we know the trigger word to get the action going, so we'll be judicious. We don't want to overuse it. At least now we know that talk about passivity gets the action. So, again, it's been very few objectives separating the teams. We will get the replay. It all started out with the attempted insert onto Bifrost.
Yeah, Vision Denial, the name of the game, but the Ashe Arrow misses both Sven and Bifrost. And then, because Sven used the ult to escape, he gets a lot of damage on Sword Art. Bjergsen uses everything just to get a 50 damage as the last hit comes through. No, Betty also flat healed in that to try and save and didn't get it. But when that taunt ends, just back up, be behind your team. Again, Turtle cut out of position. It cost TSM the Drake.
Turtle wave clearing away. Does have Infinity Edge now, so seen a lot of different Caitlyn builds, I feel like. Seen a lot of fans at this tournament. Definitely Zeal Adam being next, but I think PD versus Corrigan, interesting one. Kind of curious on your thoughts here.
I actually don't mind the Infinity Edge just because it can kind of turn into a pseudo pick comp where an Ahri charm hit. If you get an Infinity Edge hit, you can actually burst down one member. It usually go the Hurricane, that's kind of the percentage build, but TSM not focusing on the wave control. They do have Graves and Ahri to help and cover even that matters. So it does work in certain ways, but you give up other things at the same time.
That's the biggest thing. TSM's not been able to see turrets. If they now immediately run up to turrets, try to wave clear fast and get there, you can criticize the Hurricane. But right now, wave clear not the priority. Instead, hoping someone steps on a trap and you get that huge Infinity Edge crit. And honestly, it's a small point. It's minutia because 2-3 minutes from now, he's going to have a Zeal, and at 25 minutes, have the Hurricane.
I think that thing. Turtle has actually had a very good start to this game. Still 20 CS ahead of Betty in there, and again, just farming up. TSM playing pretty slow but confident in A total to get things done. And we did see Bjergsen, despite actually very significant CS deficit, making plays. I think it's very interesting to watch the top laners here, because although Monster is continually getting pushed in, when he's finding bots to keep pushing a side wave, you can kind of see how different the goals are. MMD has to walk pretty far to get his ultimate in there, or use his teleport. Hornsec can either TP or just use the ultimate wherever he is.
End result is that it feels like the game is being won and lost in the vision line, just because that's the only thing that really allows the Galio to push up or the Shen Ahri push up. However, in mid lane, TSM get a few shots, but again, it's only a few shots, and otherwise there's this very even line of scrimmage before both teams.
Just trying to open up a little more space, I think. Horser again, double globals out already, so he's getting things started in that bottom side of the map with that other Ocean just taking it down. Next trick is Infernal, by the way, so her teams are trying to be encouraged to make this happen a little more in the mid-game. That may certainly cause fireworks. Maple nice onto Bjergsen also, but he's now kind of fully committing to playing this side lane, and if he can do it safely, should be a lot of extra farm, and Maple's just not going to be as good in that spot.
Yeah, and still just an incredibly close game. You can look at the jungler's gold and itemization. They're actually even in gold right now. The next time Carson goes back to base, he'll be able to pick up the Black Cleaver as well. The big advantage is actually opening in the mid lane where Maple Syndra 1,000 gold above Bjergsen. That's traded with the marksman gold. So the point of power a little bit more on TSM side for Wild Turtle. Not the most promising thing to hear if you're a TSM fan, but they do have the shield to help him.
And this doesn't really feel like Flash Wolves have found a way to play through Maple having some good item break-even points. It's largely been wave clearing against the Caitlyn or answering an Ahri slip push. They haven't really been able to get the ward setups for there to be a pick comp, which obviously is a lot more straightforward Flash Wolves given what they've drafted. So the end result is that gold, sure, it's been put into items, but not necessarily into kills or further snowball.
Yeah, and when we've seen this type of game from Flash Wolves, it is a little bit reminiscent of when they played SKT. They don't necessarily blow you away at 21 minutes, but they will slowly get vision control, at least when playing well, find that one random pick, it feels like, in the jungle, and then just steamroll through to a Baron. So Flash Wolves has been able to play from here for victory so far this tournament.
All right, this is actually a nice play here from both sides. TSM going to move to the top lane. Sven and Bjerg working on this, but Maple's like, I'm going to gank this split push lane and at least try and get a turret. Monster, again, incredible amount of respect, backs all the way up, actually bases, just gets a shopping while he can. So another turret trade, and we'll continue the theme of this game. It is so even.
And in these long trades, you have to look at the mid lane, see if there's any wins. We can see very much there isn't, arguably. Wild Turtle getting DS over the enemy jungler is something small, but I feel like we will get to the point where Galio will have the auto push in long lanes and perhaps the playmaking ability, but I still feel like that point eludes us. We still are very much at 22.
So I do actually feel with the Bomby Cinder and the Tiamat, Hanser could push lanes relatively quickly. I think the main wave clear advantage that MMD had was earlier, so TSM getting out of that point of the game a little bit.
Like Hurricane next for Turtle, though, did actually go back and spend that gold. Zeal completed, Recover ready. Not going to be able to quite insta-push in mid lane, but he's back his little fortress right now. He's got two pink cords on the other side, plenty of neutral vision in the river there. And again, if the plan is to kind of play through 12, at least moving into that mid lane and be confident in their team fighting, everything's going to plan for TSM. Flash Wolves are happy to place as well.
Yeah, and Flash Wolves has that minor advantage as far as item completion points. They have two major items on their top lane, Tank, Sunfire, Iceborne Gauntlet. That is really going to hurt TSM's chances if they fight at Drake, because Turtle and Svenskeren haven't even completed 2 items apiece yet. Also, you look at Betty with a Phantom Dance completed, Wild Turtle gets to complete his Hurricane, Infernal Drake clean up in 30 seconds. Unless TSM can get back to base and complete some of his items, in a heads-up fight, Flash would have the advantage.
Again, looking for a pick just on Sven. Casa barely clips him with Resonating Strike. But TSM moving through, do clear out all the vision, at least the river, and Turtle again pushing so aggressively, forcing Beta to stay back and giving TSM priority as they're trying to look for a fight here.
A lot of the actions being played around the jungle support ward clearing. Obviously, the easy objective is this Infernal Drake, which does have high priority. Right now, TSM have a lot of defense warding in the area, but no one kind of has offensive wards to make the Drake safe start.
And this may be the Drake fight that really breaks open the game for either team. We've seen a lot of even trade skirmishes. But again, TSM trying to play it very slow. You cannot afford to make mistakes. It isn't important Drake that teams do want it, but if the fight goes wrong here, it's probably going to go horribly wrong for the rest of your match.
Yeah, and it's time to use the trigger word again. Passive game so far, but everything coming up towards the Drake right now. Control wards are down. Very well could be fight soon.
And I feel like the crowd also feel the Thundersticks are in action here. Loud, resounding cheer. They know that the Infernal Drake might actually be the first flare point in a very quiet 25 minutes started.
And it's very hard for TSM to actually engage the fight. They're mainly a counter-engage team, so Flash was having the zone control make it incredibly difficult for TSM to contest.
Bjergsen actually looking for a flank. He needs to maybe find a pin into a carry. There's deals. They're actually going to go in, but Scaron looks for it, doesn't get a caster. Maybe now put out of position. He's going to get CC'd up in the galley ulti. Not quite enough. There's one pick for TSM, but need to get a little bit more here. MSI forced to flash away. Betty and Syndra, Maple Law funnel through the choke. There's a good little stun's going to disengage it.
And it feels like, given the current pace of the game, one kill for Infernal Drake's very happy times for the Flash Wolves, because we've seen single picks, Ash Arrow taking down Arhi earlier, another trade kill, not turned into objectives. There's still good wave clear here. And TSM actually take that top.
That's an arrow lands on the Sven though. MSI taking a lot of damage. Actually top from Horta. They'll look for the dive. Galio takes so much damage. MMD's gonna live through the onslaught. TSM, little low on health. Maple to get the ace in the whole tank. I bet he's still pushing.
The courage of the Colossus shield, so clutch right there for MMD as he lands it out. They're going to try and take this turret down as the TP comes in.
Not enough damage. I don't think Bjergsen fishes for a shot on the left-hand side, but doesn't get an MMD. Does burn the global to protect the turret. And again, it's somehow an even trade. I said that could be the fight to break open, but the team's still playing it safe.
Catch a replay here. TSM wants a hard commit, but Scaron doesn't get the smite off. The play here from MMD, I think, is a little bit sloppy. It feels like the hero's entrance is late and largely going to be... It's not worth it when the mid are already so low in health. And from there, of course, there was no extra objective, so it was just a clean Infernal Drake single kill trades. Advantage Flash.
Flash was also getting a good counter push off in the mid lane. We got to see a glimpse of the way TSM can maybe start team fights, and it's fairly inelegant. It's a ulting in Arhi with Shen ult, getting rid of so many of the spells they generally want to protect Turtle as they get to the later and later game.
And of course the targeted nerf Shen change, where because you're ulting proactively, you're getting much less shield onto the Arhi if she's the one making the engage, rather than if you're using more reactively. So it does mean that Shen will go on you, it does mean the first CC will come in. The turnaround onto Arhi is certainly possible for Syndra.
Well, fucking Turtle starting to storm through mid lane. He's already with the wave clear, and it should be even easier. So Flash Wolves, at some point they either need to force it an objective, maybe Baron, maybe the next Infernal Drake spawning as well. But a lot of inaction during this game and some close moments, so still wanting to kind of see what happens.
It's a tense game, it's very important in terms of standings, but what we're looking for is the vision wars, because it feels like they've been so defensive so far. We're not seeing Maple cast a Syndra do their three-man rolling in and actually make deep plays with vision. Not seeing jungle supports necessarily find windows of power. It feels like the best teams control an area, then play around an area. Here it's more defensive lines of scrimmage, and thus just piling on items for late game fights.
Could be in trouble here though. MMD looking for the taunt, does snag it. Maple here as well. Haunted pretty tanky with 2 defensive items. Haunted just going to buy some time for his team. What can TSM do? MMD getting a fist on there by Haunted. There's a stun from Maple. Great flash show out of the Justice Punch, and Haunted answers around everything.
Yeah, being able to get the Syndra ult out for the expense of his flash shows how that split push does alter a little bit. Grasp for Haunter versus Courage for MMD. The extended trades, Haunter actually does drain tank a little bit if they're fighting for a long time.
What I'm looking at is what is happening with the other 4 members, because no one's coming down to Haunter, and yet they're not getting a ward advantage. Karma decided to go for a recall, maybe it was out wards, I wasn't able to tell. TSM is not trading up in other areas of the map where they have a man advantage.
Baron Vision is about all they might look for a play here though. Sean going to miss for Bjergsen. Look at Maple. Carter gets Bjergsen back in. 39 minutes. The Ash Arrow was off. Trying to find out. It's a massive answer. Finally makes it in, and that's Galley ulti, but MMD join the rest of his team. TSM needs to play this carefully as MMD. It's a trap. Turtle does have lost with it. He's going to need to shoot a lot of bullets into this Galio to kill him.
Unbelievable amount of shields coming through right there. Barfrost also has Mikhail's Crucible completed, so can kind of bail them out a little bit from CC chain, but that was nearly disaster for TSM.
Well, we finally see one of these outer turrets go down. 28 minutes. Feel like I'm back in 2015, Azira Seraph days with mid lane turrets never dying. Flash Wolves, though, will start clearing vision around the Baron.
Yeah, so many cooldowns were burned right there, so Flash Wolves can get the vision. That's the difference sometimes between Flash Wolves and other teams, is when they get a small edge, they gain vision off of it.
So risky with TSM. Counter putting that mid lane, looking to bust it open. Bjergsen back with full health. Both teams still waiting on some cooldowns here, but Flash Wolves just retake Baron vision, and I think that's about it. TSM gonna go back to those lane assignments. So already back down towards bottom lane.
And getting the mid lane turret for TSM finally allowed the Ahri to go for the 1-3-1 that we alluded to, that we expected. Gives you so much more inherent vision with your minions pushing in, but it's just been the stalemate, and depends who's going to be picking up the CS. Earlier it was Caitlyn, this time it's Betty on the side, so they're just trading farm, and this may be one of those games where, because of inaction, because we're not seeing counter plays when we actually see some rare action, it might just be a 50-minute team fight where the timers mean that another team fight win and the game's over.
Well, also, I think gaining traction in this lane, if nothing else. We saw Maple already go down there, try and get a kill, which was not successful. I mean, we definitely saw TSM not do too much other than get Baron vision, I believe, but that play happens again, especially if that's a little more open, and TSM might have that avenue to try and win as well. It's at least impressive to see Hansa actually moving the side lanes up rather than just kind of make them neutral.
But we can remember games where Hunter, big on the fist, for example, against Rumble, but that was actually in the same matchup. He had goal pressure, and we were always like, okay, he's getting 3-4-man ganks. What's TSM doing on the other side of the map? On that day, it was very little, and on this game, the one time we've seen it, once again, it's very little. So we need to see the jungle support largely make plays around the map when Hunter draws aggro.
Yeah, and right now, TSM trying to get the damage on that mid lane turret because they want mid lane priority before going towards the Infernal Drake. This is the source of conflict. Push mid, go for objective. Push mid, go for objective. Currently, TSM has the push. Makes Flash Wolves would have come in for a steal.
Well, they've got vision with the Stutter Crab as well, so something's going to start. Infernal Drake low, they should be able to get it, but there's a fight. Bjergsen gets out of the ultimate with Spirit Rush, and TSM are just bailing.
And now the question is, can Flash Wolves get inside track on the mid lane? TS went all the way around the Infernal
so
Drake.
far away right now, so the answer should be yes, but it's going to be another 4 or 5 seconds. Yeah, it looks like TSM has seen this. Finally an outer turn.
Ult from Sven, not enough to kill the pesky cannon minion.
This game is all about the waves right now. As Flash Wolves made the mid lane push, TSM basically decided they couldn't defend it. Hanser was to push out the top side and get pressure that way. Now, if Flash Wolves decides to catch that wave, TSM will try and push into the mid lane, and that's what Flash Wolves would want to get a team pick. So it's a huge bit of mind games, and what can you avoid, and what can you get away with?
Now, just pushing a mid lane gives Flash Wolves so many options. You can get that control ward onto the Baron. You can start baiting engages with your pick comp because you actually have the ability to end the short laning phase in the mid lane, actually gain pressure in other parts when you run.
Well, once it was working on the bottom turret, you get the wave all the way pushed up to the tier 2, and Bjergsen with the death cap now is going to annihilate these waves. So TSM, turret might alone if they can take it. Haunt wants it. TSM going to even the game back up again.
It's exactly the extension we were expecting. Flash Wolves sent both solo laners to side lane. TSM delayed their recalls in order to get that push. So now they have the pressure back over to Flash Wolves because TSM is now base and Flash Wolves can get wards around Baron.
Oh boy, this seesaw. It's been not necessarily the most explosive seesaw, but has been a clear one. Flash Wolves now actually trying to go for something really big in the contact.
TSM stayed a really long time. In 32 minutes, the Baron goes down extremely quickly. TSM not in position to stop.
Didn't use the word, but it's happening anyway. Flash Wolves straight over the Baron. It is so low on health, and that's going to be Baron over to Flash Wolves fan. Not in to steal it on Bifrost. Going to be ulti. Bjergsen going to trust out a team over there. One already dead. Bjergsen through the strength of the Betty. Flashes in towards him. Horn is going to join the fight, but Ben forced to flash away. Horn, I think maybe sacrificing his life and trying to get a counter kill, but he just doesn't have it. Betty takes him down. Carter still takes on his fan. Going to strike him down, take him out with the Tempest. TSM lose Baron and 3.
Yeah, TSM did not play the seesaw game properly, and one trend that has been happening throughout this MSI group stage is they don't know when to call it quits. Baron's gone. You lost. Don't fight. You can see the Baron call, but after the Baron goes away, way, everyone continues to funnel. And look, you got a global Baron call. Biofrost still flying in despite the team not being in position to fight.
Exactly, the synergy not there. The first pick comes through. Again, Flash Wolves, they understood that TSM thought they could push an objective, back away, shop, all those other things. And this was the first moment where we see that controlled aggression, making a play without perfect information. This Flash Wolves did not exist at Worlds. Many games this tournament, they haven't been able to pull the trigger and have the killer instinct. And this is a good sign to see on a must-win day for all these teams.
Well, once even game is very lopsided in favor of the Flash. 5,000 gold up and counting. 2 minutes of power to play with this Baron and do perhaps irreparable damage to TSM base.
And that's the thing. Hanser has been winning split push race against the Galio, but he can't match him right now with the Baron. It means he wouldn't be able to clear them fast enough. People also freely hitting these side lane turrets. This is already a big Baron power play, and it's still 2 minutes left.
Just like a VOD review for TSM after this tournament will be very clear when it comes to when they have pressure, when Hanser's drawing members, make things happen elsewhere. And it's not like the Flash Wolves have an A+ in that category, but they made the one proactive move that's divided the teams in 35 minutes.
Well, see just how much Flash Wolves can get done. Usually the gold standard for Baron is breaking one of those in-hitter turrets, preferably to go with it to line up your next objective, but they'll be happy to just break the base here and really just put the stranglehold on Skin. Already very far ahead on gold, but it's pretty late in this one still. TSM, some game left to play, but this turret's looking a little unhealthy.
And what Flash Wolves want here is for Karsa, Maple, or Betty to find the right target. Because of the McHales, it's difficult to just do it off an Ash Arrow, which is why they either need to chain stuns into a priority target or have Karsa go in and make a kickback. If they do that, they potentially win off that play. Bjergsen goes in.
Gonna make a really big play. Actually now goes back into the base down. He's gonna find a kill. Now Maple wants to flash out of the way. Good kick from Karsa into the grasping route, but he is in the hole. Knocks one down. Total flashing in for Sword, and he's gonna get it with 2 crits to the back.
Sometimes the Hail Mary is exactly what you need in TSM. The second time this game, put the shield on Bjergsen. He'll make a play. It did it.
And that's the danger as Flash Wolves when you are trying to really punish with that Baron, get Baron empowered minions in every wave. If you aren't ready to disengage a hard commit from one team, then you're going to pay the price, and TSM force it very quickly right there.
That was the big moment for TSM this game. Now, of course, not a Baron. It's not in any way equitable to what they lost. They have this push already. Karsa being sneaky, he's not spotted.
Oh, doesn't find Total. That could be a mistake, but Gallion right in as well. Biofrost a little low there. Maple is going to take him down. Hanser, he is here, but it's just not enough to save the support.
And it could have been a lot worse for TSM. Bjergsen wasn't even there where they were making that push. We're going to watch this one more time. Bjergsen doesn't get the charm, but Betty still has no flash, so very few ways for him to escape. You're melting right into melee range, so Hans can guarantee the top.
Look, he was the one who demanded the Ahri. It could have been Karma mid, just been the Nami drop, but took the Ahri to make plays like that. In the replay, is it elegant? Not necessarily, but just the aggression in a game of passivity caught Flash Wolves off guard and brought some breathing room for TSM.
Yeah, and track these flashes, because Turtle flashed forward for 1 kill on a support without being able to take a map objective afterwards. Much like when TSM pushed forward to get that mid lane turret and then took very late recalls to give up Baron, that could have huge consequences down the road, because we're about to see Elder Drake come up. And TSM, while they have the extra Zeal completed for Wild Turtle, he doesn't have flash. Maple, Betty, Karsa, any of these guys have a higher chance of punishing Wild Turtle now with no flash.
I've complimented the 1-2-3 plays from TSM in a macro case, but in a decision like that, where clearly the goal was, we're going in, we have to go in, we have to engage now. Suddenly, they do make incorrect plays like that, flashing in for a single kill, because in that situation, there was just no realistic massive objective they would gain off it. Certainly, 1 kill on a support gold's not going to be worth it. And like you say, they may make the right macro play, and then Total will be caught up with no flash later.
Still a pretty big Baron power play. Flash Wolves, I think, close to 5,500 gold. Flash Wolves straight in control of the right-hand side of the map onto that Elder Dragon. Also not even splitting right now, so looks like top wave is going to cause some additional problems as well for TSM. I mean, I think he feels like he has to be here for his team, because they know, if we're going to win, I think we just have to go for it.
Exactly, and TSM know what they have to do. They know how hard it is to control Elder Drake. Flash Wolves are good as well. They know that both TSM carries are without flash, so they're looking for a pick on the end one. They catch someone, the game is effectively over.
So many wards into the back of the Drake. It does them temporary vision. They spot Betty there as well. There you can see Maple. Very dangerous. Caster going to block Ace in the home maple. Does not want to take unnecessary poke.
Using the Ace in the hole felt like vision for.
Yeah.
Obviously the damage was certainly not going to do anything.
Carson wants on the wall.
Really good positioning there for Caster. Arrow to Turtle. Get out instantly. That was a tight McHale's there from Bio. He does not have QSS.
McHale's is down. Still lots of CC left. MMD has flash on. They're bursting down Elder Drake.
TSM have to go for something here. The break is low, but not too much damage being taken here for Flash. Haunts up in the front of the pin. MMD looks for the play, but just as much as block. Bjergsen onto the backside, looks for the carriage, but gets exhausted. Sands United is going to try one with him, but Turtle already got kicked out. Bjergsen a rampage, but Turtle's already dead. So it's Garen chasing out Haunts. They need a little more Benny. Still alive. Haunter trying to hit him down, but Spamble does go down. Haunter tries to Benny on the other side. Elfman's Garen's going to get shut down. Caster. Oh, it's going to find. So it's Garen. He's going to get the mid-range to Elfman. Not going to get it, but he does go down for a drag. 4 for 3. Flash was barely ahead.
So fitting for this game that it ends up a 4 for 3. It looks like a 3 for 3 on first glance. Bjergsen dancing around in what was a very extended fight. You expect there to be a lot less times for the first big fight of the game, but we're already 40 minutes in.
And Betty did an exceptional amount of damage toward the end of this fight, but watching it again, the initiation doesn't actually for Flash Wolves. Bjergsen ends up getting a lot of damage as he goes in initially, but watch Wild Turtle, no flash. Carson kicks him back. He's dead. No chance in that fight, but Bjergsen still does damage along the backside, and now there are 2 men, Zap Bear and Nash, because no one could take down Betty at the end of that fight. Watch Hunter try, but Betty kites him back.
Not a lot like they were just trying to pen a fight. They thought they'd won after picking up Bjergsen.
To go for it, over redemption, he's going to look for it. Tries to seal it. Oh my God! He steals the Elder Dragon!
Team solo mid, gets it through their mid lane. He does it in big style. Bjergsen this game strapped his team on the Arhi, going for those big shitty plays, and my goodness, did it again.
And that's just one of those moments. Flash Wolves have 2 people that can take down the Elder Drake. Neither of them have sweepers. Neither of them have smite. Biofrost throws in the redemption. Bjergsen gets it with the steal and can all right back out.
But it's hard to criticize Flash Wolves when a play around Baron was made in a similar tenure and got the big lead. This time, they feel like they're caught with their pants down. These are the trades you make when you try to make an educated game. Play the game on the razor's edge, and credit to Bjergsen, he made it work.
Track the cooldown. Flashes back up for TSM carries, not up for Betty. So this time, Haunter can get a taunt. Betty can go down very early, so the tides have shifted, especially with the Elder Drake buff.
I mean, Haunter especially, he was already getting a lot of work done on the side lane. And he's going to struggle to fight him for the next few minutes as TSM position for this Baron. A ton of wards just hanging out to the left side of that pit. And Haunter getting real pressure now.
The itemization from MMD going for the Knights. I feel like it's been underbought this tournament when we've actually had a relatively large amount of tech top laners, so no GA for MMD, but you know, if he dies through all this armor, then certainly the GA is not going to be a big factor. So we'll see if Eddie having a little bit of damage reduction will at least something.
Yeah, 432 armor for MMD right now. It's not Bjergsen who's hitting, so only the damage you're getting to him are physical. They're rushing this Baron down, it gets warded.
Control ward on Baron there from TSM, so you would have to imagine they were only starting it to turn. I think you should get Jack.
They don't have space for control wards.
That's a good point.
They've decided to build all these cloth armors, and the argument is probably not worth, but at the same time, if they're being a fight at very low health, you can make that argument. They're not going for vision denial right now, that's for sure.
Had sweepers that didn't get deep enough into the back of the kit, was afraid of maybe Flash was being behind it, so now they'll get advantage over the Baron. As many snapshots are snapped, and they're going for a Flash to do a lot of damage.
See this before, TSM's gonna try and rush in.
All right, Bjergsen's already, they can see them getting steal again. He's going to go in for it. Looks to try and take one down the Baron. Does go out of Flash on the TSM. He's going to start a fight. Bjergsen's already got onto there by Maybe. He takes so much damage running. He's a bit strangleable. Man, knock over Benny. That's one down. They need the carry. Just too much. Turtle does finally take it down. Here's the GM. Haunter. Is he going to time it properly? No need. He's got no flash shutdown. There for Turtle.
People having Flash out of the fight so early meant the damage wasn't there for Flash Wolves, so MMD being the first to go down as the hilarious tanky Gallia. They just didn't have the damage to reiterate, even though it was free firing from Betty. The Baron buff is answered by a lot of kills for TSM.
This game is on a razor's edge. Svensson only able to try and steal with his ult, but then Flash Wolves are caught in the pit and not able to really retaliate much because TSM did go in together.
Now they had Flash on Ash that we talked about quite a few times. Both Flash at the back. You maybe get 4 Baron buffs, one person has to die, one single tier, and you end up ahead. But giving up quite a lot in that scenario because they made the bold play. Once again in the Baron with the bold play, but definitely picking up some casualties as well.
Well, especially for them, dying just enough decreases the overall Baron duration. Only 2 minutes 20, and Flash still aren't out on this map. Get things started. The longer TSM can delay, the better it is for them. And we're on 45 minutes in this game. We're at a coin flip fight status very soon.
And it's definitely been a coin flip kind of game. It's been 2 teams playing very similar game plans with not a lot to separate them. It's one of those games primed for an MSI moment, primed for something that will be remembered for a long time. There are stars on both lineups that have made massive outplays, but will it be Karsa with a kick flash? It feels like one carry going down. This late in the game might be decided by that single outplay.
Absolutely, and that's why we're seeing stuff like Guardian Angel trying to come together on the teams. Not necessarily happy that there's no Knight's Vow anywhere in Honder's late game build, especially when so much is built around turtles. That damage reduction can come in super clutch. You have a shielder as well to try and keep him alive, but that only increases difficulty level for Turtle trying to be safe in these very hectic, high-pressure late game fights.
And it feels weird because they're kind of, again, they weren't fully committing to protect the Turtles. Not all the eggs in his basket, but it's a lot of them. But it's certainly not Sven, where he had 800 redemptions and everything to help him out. Here it's really only the Karma, who might be the first to die, that has a lot of team utility for Turtle.
And the thing with Turtle, look at this item build from Turtle. He is leaning, he's trusting Bifrost with his literal life in this game. Full damage, full aggression. That's the wild Turtle we know and love, but if he gets caught, the fight ends instantly.
Yeah, Mob Malmortius, his only pseudo-defensive item right there. Looks like a sword. It's pointing in one direction. It's all fiery. How is that defensive?
I mean, when you see double Randuins, how much liberty do you have to build any tankiness? I think you have to largely just invest in your teammates being on point, and that's why, for once, you have to kind of scrutinize Karma's positioning, because if Karma lives, a lot of utility available. If Karma's first to die, then it really is just Turtle right for the pickings.
Zonni is now finished with Bjergsen, so these inventories are fully stocked in almost every single lane. He's actually working on his own zones, and without a flash, he might be vulnerable until he can get that item. But I think the big thing for me here is Flash. Well, they got the Baron, but almost negative. I'm very curious to see what this power play looks like, because they got almost nothing from this.
Yeah, and I think the big thing that happened is Elder Drake disappeared from the map. The team that took Baron immediately disappeared from the map. So we've been very excitedly talking about the prospects of this game, but we are in a bit of a rest and reset phase. Everyone is trying to get their items, get their cooldown back. There's no major objectives to fight over, so they want a random pick with an Asher, and that's what Flash will have the threat of. But for the most part, it's just all about setup until those objectives are coming back online.
Baron to Baron, Elder Dragon to Elder Dragon. Otherwise, everything remains even between Flash Wolves and TSM. 5,000 gold lead that's starting to rapidly mean very little. Colonel Drake's on both sides, so really not much to split the two teams.
Look at that little Baron power play. 329 gold for the Flash Wolves.
That kind of game, pastry time.
People just trying to stack up Syndra's orb. The reason Syndra do that is because the ultimate will be much more punishing if you have a bunch of what's already on the ground. We're just hoping someone on SM steps a little bit forward and they would get that game-ending pick, because they are getting control in the jungle right here. TSM would make a big mistake if they try to regain that, because the opportunity cost is not worth the reward.
The awkward spot is you can't really move with your vision like most plays are made when you have this sort of map pressure, because you can't really control ward 2 rushes. It's not item spots for there to be control wards on multiple members. So it feels like the vision from TSM is largely sticking, and Flash can basically plot that control ward down and really just hope against hope that someone walks in, because otherwise there is always that chance of standing in the ward and the game might go the other way and end off such a brush.
In for the long haul here still. Like Bobby Smithy said, we're in about maybe a 50-minute team fight. We're getting later than that at this point. And TSM, they do have also playing these side lanes. What we're seeing, when they don't play right, it falls apart quickly. I mean, if that's what TSM still want to do here in this game, they'll have to be careful.
I feel a little bit like a metaphor for the tournament. There's nothing to separate these teams when there's 4 teams already in the standings, 3 and 5, and really trying, or 3 and 6 for one of them, but still really trying to separate themselves from the pack. This is another game where the difference between TSM and Flash Wolves, it's minute at most.
Yeah, the 5,000 to 6,000 gold lead means nothing. You can see actually maxed items on the first 4 members on the TSM side, and just the chain vest for Karsa would need to be completed for him to reach max items as well. And at that point, it's just the supports who have kept spots for Control Wars. Incredibly late game right now.
I mean, the smallest advantage you can say is that at least TSM have a true global, whereas the Galio does not. So having a true global in a game like this, where it's not vision, you're not likely to be collapsed on, can actually be a factor. So where Galio can go in this game, because the channel time on teleport is too long when the game might be decided on a single pick, is actually a little bit limited compared to Haunted.
Well, looks like we're back at it again with the Baron. 50 seconds until it spawns again. TSM first to the area to get something down. Elder Dragon's also respawning, which is a pretty rare sight. At a minute 25 to that one. Turtle pokes, Castle blocks it with the Banshees.
Yeah, and right now, the value of your sweeper is so high. Notice how Bjergsen switched over to a third sweeper, so TSM is making a bet here that the blue ward would be less effective than being able to sweep. So that's, they have to get position early. If they give out condition, they don't have a way of getting it back.
Oh, that's got to get sucked. There's a lot of damage already. Does flash and sleep got away, but now Bjergsen moving forward, trying to find another pick.
It's Kameen TSM onto Baron.
It takes so much damage. She gets down already. Spence scared. Isolating Syndra on the right. Redemption going to reset. Everybody's dead. TSM in a 5v4 now.
Single charm onto Karsa, won the pressure game. The TSM, they could turn onto Baron very confidently. Karsa's recalled. TSM for now, though, aren't forcing anything.
That's when TSM had to make the pick, though, because they had no way of getting them back if they concede that territory. The Vision Denial for now pays off, but they don't make a play right off it. They had a window. Karsa was super low, and they'd had the kill, but they decide play it safe.
Getting a pick like that at 48 minutes and not getting anything. Of course, no space in inventories for wards, but even pushing up with the Sightstone to get wards down is unbelievable, honestly.
Hugely disappointing. They go catch wave in the bottom lane, they go back up. Still 30 seconds with MMD, but Karsa, Banshees fail up. Could be trying to look for a steal, and the controller's not dealing. It doesn't see the ward.
The sweep is out, so we could be in 50-50 territory. Karsa can land it up. There's the first Q. No flash for Karsa. He needs to do this. So TSM wait it out, very patient here.
The tournament could be decided on this.
Bjergsen looking at this as well. Haunter's going to block it out. It's the top 10. Oh no! Stole the Baron! Fence just didn't use the smite.
So much wrong about what TSM did right there. Biofrost needs a ward deeper in the pit. And also, we've seen a lot of teams trying to vault the way they do Baron. Keep it at about 2,000 health, and then you arbitrarily pick a time burst. They don't do this, down at around 1,000. Now, they just keep going, but now it's a 5v5. This is a panic move by TSM. They're trying to fight their way out.
You can't be there because there's limited members here.
You can see him now. They need to make a play with the Elder Drake. MMD got a little out of position. Ben so aggressive. Flash just trying to make time for Maple and cut him off.
They're trying to get turrets right now. I mean, Maple's got a free push in the bottom side. Flash can actually fight them. They're trying to at least open up an inhibitor.
Running back in, Maple should be able to get this, but I don't think you can get it in here. TSM, very defensive, but they didn't have the vision this late into the game. 51 minutes, inventories are stocked. Maple backs off. He actually didn't even get the... Oh, he did barely get the turret into play as it falls.
Apart from Flash, there was no reason for them to keep contesting. They back away and respect TSM, but as you say, that a lot of mistakes here. Watch this. The W kills it.
That true damage from Syndra's W max rank.
Crap. Wow, that's just insane stuff.
I guess I can't blame him for missing it, but that sucks for TSM. What a great steal by Maple. The Flash Rolls with a brutal King Siege.
But again, Flash Rolls would not have been able to do that if Frost control ward deeper in the pit, where it would actually matter.
They can't double control ward because there's only one control ward slot on the team. So they have to get it right in that scenario. And that misplay, which we've seen before in this tournament, again, this game is so central to both teams' chances of making top 4.
And now it's all about trying to get initiation onto Flash Rolls.
Big play, Bjergsen taking down everybody's Zombies is through. Once again, a redrum, but MMD with a defensive ultimate, actually taking a lot of damage. Flash Rolls to Maple, down the horns, and TSM get a fight their way out of the Baron. Flash into the hole, does get the kill, carries down the Flash Rolls. MMD on the ultimate, he's dead. 5v2 for a long time.
And when you allow a game to go this, like maybe this will just decide it. TSM is going to shove down mid. They still have Elder Dragon Bar.
You have to escort the minion wave to get rid of the backdoor bonus. Hawk kills the fourth. It's just Carl alive.
Charmed up Bjergsen. He's going to buy all the time. TSM.
Yeah, Bjergsen trying to cast it for proxy waves. They're ushering in this minion wave. 40 seconds on Maple. He's closest. I think TSM's done it.
But patience might cost me. They didn't get any in here, so they never had access pushing. Onsa, they're going to take it up. One next turn under fire. 30 seconds or more on everyone else of Bushels. There's one. TSM. We get a turn